Hello again, this is Tor, and we are back in the Northern Realms playing as His Majesty King Foltest, King of Temeria, Prince of Sodden, Sovereign of Pontaria and of Mahakam, and Senior Protector of Bruges, Angren, and Riverdale. So quite a lot of titles we have accumulated, and there are more coming. We are currently at war, defending our wife here, the Queen of Upper Aedern, from an aggression by King Henselt of Caedwen. And most of this episode is likely to focus on this struggle. However, before Foltest leaves on this adventure and in defense of his beloved wife, we do want to keep leave the realm in order. So there's a couple things we want to do before we ride off. Let me just adjust the volume here a bit so you can hear me. All right, that should be good. So what do we want to do before we ride off? Well, first of all, we want to appoint our regent. This will both make the appointee like us more, but more importantly, that lets us be safe in case anything happens to us during the war, which, knock on wood, hopefully will not be the case, but just to be safe. And I believe we will appoint this man here, who is our heir currently, the Count of Emhyr. Let's give him the job of designated regent. So that's one down. Two, when we leave, we want to make sure that we get back from the war to a united and peaceful realm. And this list shows us the different factions, the people scheming against us. And there's quite a list of disgruntled nobles here. We will not be able to take care of all of them before we go off and do our war, but we do want to at least start working towards alleviating some of this dissent. And I believe we will start with neutralizing this faction. The Count of Vidort, named Onichis, if I'm reading this right, wishes to install my uncle to the throne of Sodden. So he wants Prince Tassilo to take over Sodden, which is this part here. And if you know anything about the Witcher verse history, there's some pretty significant things happen here, right? And so we will endeavor to disband this faction, and the way we do that is by sending our spy master, Bernard, to scheme and hopefully find some dirt on this fella, the Count. And if he does his job right, we should have this noble effectively discouraged from scheming against us. All right, so that's two down. Let's see if we have anything else to do. Our chancellor is still away, trying to fabricate a claim on this piece of land here so that we can later attack our neighbor, the king of Verdun, or Verdun, if you prefer the more anglicized pronunciation. However, we look towards the south, where we should always be vigilant and worry of Emhyr's plots. We can see that Emhyr likes us, but just barely. He considers Foltest to be an infidel, has a different faith, just doesn't worship the sun. Of course, we don't. That's the southern religion. We're not answering to their gods and never will. And he tolerates us just barely. If this ever goes negative, the chance of the emperor going to war against Temeria will significantly rise. So as soon as our chancellor is free, or as soon as Foltest gets bored with waiting for this claim to be fabricated, we will send our chancellor, let's see, what's his name, Conrad, the Lord Conrad, with a mission to the imperial capital in the far south to maybe convince the emperor that we're not as bad as he may think. But that's still ahead of us. In the meantime, let's go to war. What Foltest will do here is raise the armies of his vassals, and we can see they've all appeared on the map. We will have them rally here and then move from here to the front, which is likely to be here on the river Pontar or close to it. If we can, we will want to occupy some of Henselt's lands and make him stop. And now you can see that Bernard has been busy. Only a couple of days have passed, and he's already back with some rather encouraging news. He says, "My liege, I believe that one of our vassals, the scum Onichis, can be discouraged from associating with conspiratorial factions if the proper leverage is obtained." Well, obviously. How do you wish to proceed? We can ask politely, or we can ignore the situation for now. I was kind of hoping for a more demanding option here. These sometimes appear. That would be more in line with Foltest's ambition. However, I think we can try honey, right? It works better than vinegar. So let's see. We will ask politely and see how our misguided vassal responds. And he has responded, "Honored King, do not speak to me of obligations and duties. I may be your vassal, but that does not make me your slave. I am within my full right to associate with whichever faction I wish." That little scumbag. Well, we'll leave our chancellor, or rather our spy master, working that guy. Perhaps we will get a different option in a little while and be able to use that. And in the meantime, our armies are concentrating over here nicely, and we will be able to move to the front in just a little bit. In the right-hand, lower right-hand corner here, we see the current war score is negative 17%. If this ever reaches negative 100, then we will lose, and Henselt will take over the domain of our wonderful wife here. So hopefully that will not happen. Luckily, we are not actually fighting this war alone, and King Stennis has risen to the occasion and is also supporting our wife. In the meantime, we have gotten a message here, and it seems that the Prince Bruver the Hideous, who is Count of Mahakam, a dwarf. Oh, he is actually not speaking well of us. Maybe because we fired him from the council not so long ago and replaced him with somebody more capable. Well, that probably didn't make him happy. He also wants control of Mahakam, one of the kingdoms that Foltest currently holds. Let's see if we can make him happy with a seat on the council. But unfortunately, I don't see how we could accommodate him. He's not that skilled in anything apart from stewardship. Stewardship 11, and our current steward has a score of 17, so he's significantly more skilled, and we do need the money. There's a war going on, so we will leave Bruver here stewing for a little bit, but I will mark him as special interest. That will let us know what's going on with him. We could send him a gift to, perhaps make him like us a little better, but that's a steep price out of the 183 gold that we have. So we'll play it by ear and see. The fact that he doesn't like us very much will or could make him join other factions. He's now part of a faction of his own to install himself as the leader and ruler of Mahakam. Thankfully, his force is not as strong as ours. Although, as we lose soldiers in the war, those numbers will obviously change. Alright. So how do I deal with deserters? I think this is a time to show the darker side of Foltest here, and I'm considering between his zeal or just plain cruelty he would display here. Interestingly, if we choose this, the morale of our armies drops by 20%, which is quite significant. I think we will go with a zealous. Oh, interesting. This is actually more. Well, all right. Let's not be too gamey here, shall we? We will lash out and and inflict the cruelest possible penalty that will teach him. All right, we have a good, nice big army concentrated here. We will likely not wait for the laggards here to arrive. Let's just combine this into one big unit. Make sure we are leading the charge, and we will proceed to the front. And these guys may go away. One of the things we did, just in case, is Foltest left his left his own troops home in Vijima as a little garrison. Huh. Well, I think a certain white wolf has decided to leave our court, which is unfortunate. We could have made him a commander, perhaps. Here's to hoping he gets back. He could come in handy, you know. He's quite a formidable fighter. We hear has reached Foltest's ears, and there's a druid. No, we don't have time for this right now. And all right, in the meantime, our armies have been merrily chugging along, crossing the border now, and we will soon be upon the enemy. And they are actually positioned in a rather advantageous spot for us, because the river, the Ponchar, flows through here, which means they really don't have a good spot to escape to. Let's see how the battle progresses. And it looks like we will beat them soundly, which is good to see. All right, good, we won, and that tipped the balance of the war pretty significantly. The little skull we see here is attrition, so our troops will actually die off slowly if we stay here, because this space cannot support as many men as we have. The cap is actually back to 9,000, so that's good. The attrition modifiers are now gone. Oh, that reminds me, we forgot one thing, to do one thing before we left, and we will get to that in a minute. However, we've just received news that our wife is ill. Well, obviously she needs help, so let's find a physician. Doesn't she have her own physician at her court? Strange. Well, let's help out. Now, what did we miss? We missed this man, the Baron Lavalette. If you remember from last episode, we had a bit of a clash with the Lavalette family, and Foltest believes that it is not quite resolved. This man is a powerful vassal, and he resents the fact that he's not on our council. But that's not going to happen. He is one of the traitors. He fought against us in the traitorous rebellion of his nephew, if I'm right. And for that, He must die. We will remove him with a little help from our friends. Let's see who's willing to help make that happen without too much encouragement. That's about it for the people who would do it without additional encouragement. But we will encourage one Orderic, Emhyr, who's one of his vassals. Let's send him the gold, and that should flip him. Yes, and he is amoral. Gotta love these pragmatic types, and that will. And they're all agreeing to help me out. That will put the plot power above 100%, and should allow us to get rid of the Baron promptly. In the meantime, we've looked for our physician, and this man has shown up. It seems like the game is, or this patch rather, is generating some weirdness because of clashes between the real world and the Northern Realms. We see here some traits that are, Muslim themed. I don't think that should be happening. That's a bug. But this Isbrand is a renowned physician. He is also a skilled soldier. We most definitely want to hire him. The price is not low at all. 85 gold. I think Foltest is one to pay well for this particular set of skills. So we will indeed employ him, and this is the last of our co-conspirators to kill the Baron of Lavalette. Let's see. See, I mentioned at the very beginning that we would want to get back to a peaceful realm. And as we were fighting our war, this faction led by Count Linus of Maribor has grown in power. A bunch of people joined, and we are now outnumbered by this faction. And we have the choice to either increase council power, and I'll go into what that means in just a bit, or we can start a civil war by refusing them. Let's take a quick look at the situation before we decide. We are very close to repelling the Kedwen forces from Aedern and securing the Pontar border. The last castles and fiefs captured by Henselt are being liberated by our forces as we speak, and I believe this is Stennis and his army are actually attacking his capital and making short work of Henselt's army. So we're pretty good on this front. Back home, we have these forces that we left behind. Our personal our personal forces of close to 2,000 men, and 7,000 more on the front that we would need to recall to fight. Now, the question is whether Foltest would bend and allow his council to gain more power that would make him be dependent on their decisions, or would he risk a confrontation? A confrontation which would undoubtedly cost many, many lives of soldiers on both sides and severely weaken Temeria. Let's take a look. Foltest, as we've noted last time, is a brilliant strategist. He is diligent and always takes care of every little detail. Well, maybe safe for this little motley crew and group that's currently challenging his authority. He is proud and he is stubborn. I think those two traits would alone decide this, but even then, he is also, even if those two would not, he's also a gambler, and I think he would indeed gamble and not bend. We will see what Count Linus and his cronies have to bring to the table. We will see who is better prepared for this confrontation. I will not be blackmailed. And that decision breaks up our realm into two pieces. The revolt here, and the lands controlled by Linus and his backers, and the domain we still control. So that means when we meet next time, we will be fighting a war on two fronts, and actually leaving our spouse to fend for her own as we drag our troops back into Temeria to deal with this treason. See you all next time, and here's to hoping that Foltest can indeed beat them and claim his rightful place in history as the savior of the North.